Sahana bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Does anyone have any question pertaining to what we are studying? Or it is all clear about the Panchakoshas? Can't see any question. Okay, so, very few people today. Everybody has been partying last night and couldn't wake up in time, it looks like. Okay, so let's proceed.
We'd have to do intellectual sheath, Janki ji.
So let's proceed.
Can I read?
Yeah, please.
Intellectual sheath. This sheath comprises the intellect, the faculty to think, reason, contemplate. The intellect judges and decides the mental and physical activity, controls the mental, vital, and food sheaths. The senses in the physical body tend to indulge in the sense objects of the world. The mind is attracted to instant pleasures. The intellect controls, regulates the mind, pranas, and senses. One needs a powerful intellect to practice this discipline. An intellectual strength is gained through study and reflection upon the truths of life laid down in Vedanta.
Yeah,
A powerful
that's enough. Yeah. Now, please summarize.
Okay, so actually I did the whole thing. So
you know what these two paras say?
Okay. So two basic points. What is the intellectual sheath? Sheath comprises the intellect, capacity to think with the gross intellect, contemplate with the subtle intellect, and the function of the intellect to judge and decide the mental and physical activity and control the three lower sheaths. Control becomes necessary as senses are pulled by the sense objects and mind attracted by instant pleasures. So only a powerful intellect built by study and reflection of truth can achieve this.
Very good. So what are our main ideas? Firstly, what is the sheath? It is our faculty to think, reason, contemplate. And what is the second point? This sheath has the natural power to control the lower sheaths. And this natural power which it has to be used, because the mind takes off and the senses take off. So how will you strengthen the sheath? Actually, it's not even strengthen the sheath. This is its natural power. You just allow its natural power to come back, and that is called strengthening the sheath. It's a natural power. If you have not messed up already, you would do this automatically. It's a natural power. Because see, it is the intellect's role. The intellect controls, regulates the pranas, the mind, pranas, and senses. That is its job in life. And left to, if nobody is messing up anything, then very clearly it will do its job. What's the problem? And what's the problem is we identify with the mind that takes off all the time, and we identify with the senses that are always pulled by the world. Always the senses are pulling at us. Imagine if you had the choice to listen to some symphony versus listening to somebody scratching a nail on a glass. Which one would you choose? The senses always take you to the pleasurable. I'm not suggesting that you should go to this pleasurable, but it is the nature of the sense to consider the pleasure the most important thing. In Indian mythology, this heaven is shown to be like that. You have all the pleasures of the senses and they're all superb. That's considered great joy. It's the land of Indra, where you enjoy the senses. You listen to dance and music, and what level? Heavenly dance and music, not Apnavala dance and music. Not the Bollywood, but heavenly one. Totally enthralled. And who is dancing over there? The nymphs, the apsaras of heaven are dancing. And who are the musicians? They're the Gandharvas. So I imagine all great heights of sensual enjoyment going on in the high heavens. And that's what they say you should aspire for. I mean, not Vedanta doesn't make you aspire for the land of Indra, but people claim so. Go to heaven. You do punya, then you go to heaven. What is that heaven? It's only a super sensual enjoyment. Like the enjoyments will be very, very good. Very, very good is a bad way of putting it, no? So I don't know. However you'd like to say. What is this girl's name? Hanos. No. What is her name? This recent Miss Universe?
Harnas.
What? Harnas. Bharat, you are on top of these things. Very nice. Harnas. This Harnas is will be 50 times better in heaven. That's how it's supposed to be. So the nature of the mind, and of course, who is the king of all these senses is the mind, represented by Indra. Indra is supposed to be Indriyani Raja iti Indra. The king of the lord of the senses is Indra. So this lord of the senses, our friend Mr. Indra, and the Indriyanis, all the wonderful senses, are having this jolly good time. And Bichara intellect has gone to sleep. He doesn't know what on earth is going on. But in the normal course of events, Indra is not supposed to do anything until he takes the permission of
intellect.
No, I'm talking about Indra. Indra is not supposed to do anything until he takes the permission of Kinnari, I didn't hear you. What did you say? Brahma? He doesn't go to Brahma for permission. When he wants to do something, if he wants to do Akraman or something, he'll go to whom for advice?
Vishnu?
No. Vishnu, he goes only for boons. He goes to Vishnu and Brahma and all for boons. For advice on how to act, he is supposed to refer to Brihaspati. Brihaspati is the guru of the gods. So he's supposed to ask Brihaspati and then take whatever action he takes. But he tends not to do that. Or he often doesn't do that. So Brihaspati represents the intellect. He's the guru of the gods. So the intellect has to play a very active role in our lives. What does that mean? That means we have to carefully think before we do something. It doesn't mean that we should not enjoy the pleasure of the senses. It does not mean that you must not be in relationships. It does not mean any such thing. It only means
Think before you act.
think before you act. Very good. You think before you act. Don't do anything without thinking about it. Now, one of the problems we face in life is the action has happened before you had a chance to think about it. And the reason this happens is often, I mean, of course, weakness or the intellect you can say, but often it happens because as it is stressed, there's already a stress on us, and therefore we're doing something without thinking, because when you're stressed, you can't now sit and apply yourself. So you have to create a lifestyle where there is no already stress happening. You're not already stressed. And how do you do that? How do you do that? Create a lifestyle which is not stressful.
Study.
What happened? Everybody's quiet. Surely you all know how to create a lifestyle which is not
discipline.
Very good, Varsha. Thank you. I was beginning to really worry about this. To create a lifestyle which is not stressful by creating a disciplined lifestyle. Meaning what? You have already understood what all you want in life. You're clear about what you want. Okay. Then you have decided what actions according to you will take you to that, whatever the things you want are. Now you have scheduled and programmed them in the day. Okay, so let's say I want health. Bharat wants to be Mr. Universe. So he schedules every afternoon or whatever time he wants. I go and spend 3 hours in the gym. So he goes and spends 3 hours in the gym every afternoon. Now, if he has programmed the rest of his life, what else does he want? He wants to become Mr. Universe in another sense. He wants to become a realized soul. Then what else will he plan? Then he would have planned his morning study. He would have planned his karma yoga. He would have planned his bhakti yoga. Whatever in the world he wants. I'm not really talking about poor Bharat, but whatever in the world anyone has planned for themselves, they schedule it for themselves. That's called discipline in the larger thing. Now, when you are scheduled for yourself, I remember in school we used to make schedules. We spent a lot of time writing our timetables. I don't know if today's kids do this anymore. But, whenever the exams were declared, at least I would do that. I would sit down and spend a long time writing out a very nice timetable about when I'm going to study what. And I spent so much time doing it that after that I had no enthusiasm to study because it already used up all my small intellectual faculties. And then I would say, okay, now I've done the timetable, so I'm good. And then I would go off and read anything else other than my books. So when you make a schedule, the important thing is, the first and most important thing you should know when you make a schedule is
to follow the
What's your goal? What's your goal?
Yes, of course. What's your goal? Okay, second thing.
to not overwhelm yourself.
Doable schedule?
Keep it simple.
Know yourself, what you're capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing. You must know. Don't put in your schedule things which you know you're not capable of doing. Put in your schedule things which you're capable of doing. Let's say that you have to go to office. You have to reach office at 10 o'clock in the morning. And let's say that it takes you 45 minutes to get there. So what time will you leave your home?
1 hour back.
9 o'clock. Very good. You leave your home at 9 o'clock because you know it takes 45 minutes. And so you leave your house at 9 o'clock. Why do you leave your house at 9 o'clock? That's in your schedule. Every single day you leave your house at 9 o'clock. Why do you do that? Thinking of
What time?
to get there on time. Yes, of course, you'll get there on time. What else?
To
To
prepare
account
for
for
eventuality that could occur, a traffic jam or
To have
a
no
avoid
stress.
stress.
You
Avoid
take
stress.
unknown delays.
Yeah, so that you're just not stressed. When you're walking out of the house at 9 o'clock, somebody will phone you. You will be able to take that call without creating a racket for yourself or the other person. Suppose that same person calls you at 9:30 when you're leaving the house, you will scream at him also, and you will get worked up yourself also. So things happen. There'll be a traffic jam. People will phone you. Your spouse will say something just as you're leaving the door. You're prepared for every eventuality already because you already thought this thing through. So when you live a disciplined life, your lifestyle does not create stress because you already thought it through. You understand what will happen. You understand what you are capable of. You understand what are the unknowns that you're going to have to deal with. You understand all this. And so, Ashia, yes, you're relaxed enough. But the question is, how are you relaxed? You're relaxed because you figured it all before you started anything. Now say, oh no, but no, what happens if nothing happens? Then I will reach 15 minutes earlier. Very good if you reach 15 minutes earlier. You're relaxed and you have a chance to just be in a contemplative framework, in a mindful framework, in a framework of mind that says that is available to apply yourself to the things that come, rather than just what is going on. So the whole lifestyle has to be geared for the intellect's presence. If you don't gear the lifestyle for it, there will be, you won't know what happened. That's literally what happens in life. It's all gone by too fast before you realize what happened. So if you want the intellect to do its amazing thing for you, then the lifestyle has to be created around it. Around it means the lifestyle is obviously according to your goal, but you have figured it out in such a way that all the time there is enough time for your intellect to function. One of the things Swamiji does is you go to him and you say, Swamiji, this is urgent. He'll throw you out of his room. You can't use that word with him because the moment you use the word with him, he'll switch off. He says, you guys want to have a heart attack, go right ahead, but you will not force me to have one. You want to do urgent things? Go do them. I'm not subscribing to this. There are times when you're working and there is something urgent and you rush because you have to get his signature on something. And it's like literally urgent. We lose something if we don't get it. So you run all the way up to the bungalow. You know, he lives in the bungalow on the top floor. So you run all the way to the bungalow and now you have to climb the stairs. So you stop. You breathe. And then very slowly you climb the stairs because because nothing in your thing should show any urgency. You will not get your letter signed if he sniffs any urgency. Then you go to his room, you greet him, okay, and then you sit down. General small chat, because he's always available to talk if you are talking. Amazing, a person who has 4 full-time professions has always got time to talk to you. You sit down, you say something, then he'll pull your leg a little bit. All this will go on. Okay, in the meanwhile, you have to completely forget that you have something over there for him. And if somebody comes at that time, who needs to, for whatever reason, or he had another appointment, you have to get up and leave as if nothing has happened. And then try your luck again when that person leaves. But if all goes well and you are able to, then you quietly get his signature. You reach the end of his room and again run for your life, because now you got it. Now the thing is that we all try to circumvent the processes that our teachers put on us. We forget that our teachers put these processes because it's for our good, not for their good. But we will circumvent it until we get mature enough to understand that we have to do it this way. There is no alternative to this. That is why his decisions don't go wrong and our decisions go wrong. Because he never takes any decision in a hurry. He never does anything like that. And why is it not in a hurry? Because his lifestyle is geared for that. Or as my father-in-law used to say, the work should be done when it comes, not when it's due. If you receive some work, if you do it then, not wait for when it is due, because that's how we tend to look at it. Which is the biggest question people have with reference to taxes? Do you know? The first question when you'd say, oh, I have to do my taxes, the first question in everybody's mind is,
When is the due
When is it due?
Due date.
everybody knows that question. First thing on when is the due date? I'm not concerned with the due date. I know on 1st April that my taxes are due. I know this. I know it through the year also, but I know definitely on 1st. So why is it not a scheduled activity for 1st April? Say, no, that is a bad day. Okay, 2nd April. So if we live our life like that, then intellect is there. It's not stressed as it is. It's not overworked as it is. Because please always remember, the human intellect is its most subtle equipment. The most subtle equipment. And therefore, its use is the highest effort. It's not easy for us to use our intellect. It's a lot of effort to apply ourselves. Even when we all work together, as people get very enthused to do X job or Y job, you can't stop them and say, don't do it. It's not a good idea, because then they just stop doing any job. Because it's too much effort to apply yourself to a desire. Just too much effort, even good desires. So since if you understand that you're doing something difficult, you will not try to do it flippantly. So, what is the moral of our story?
Disciplined life will help you use your intellect.
Very good. Except Naim, one more thing. Disciplined life will allow your natural intellect to function. It is already there. Just live a disciplined life, meaning live a life which is stress-free. It sort of works together. If you use your intellect, you have a stress-free life. If you have a stress-free life, you use your intellect. In the Gita, they call it, he shows it like a cycle. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasyopachayate. Prasanna chetaso yashu buddhi paryavatishtate. When you get prasad, prasad means peace. All the dukkhas are removed and buddhi paryavatishtate. So you use the intellect, sorrow is gone. Sorrow is gone, you use the intellect. It's like a cycle. It's the ladder up. Or it's the cycle up, I should say. It's the spiral up. But if your mind gets agitated, dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate. A man thinks of objects. Sanga upajayate. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. From sanga comes kamaha. From attachment comes desire. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Kama krodho vijayate. When you get krodha, anger, krodhat bhavati sammoha. You lose your head in krodha. You don't know what you're doing. At least if you remember code of conduct, you will be saved. But if you cannot even remove that, remember even that much, then what happens? Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat, sammoha, delusion. Sammohat, smruti vibhramaha. You'll forget. You'll forget you have a meeting, you'll forget you have a job to do, you'll forget everything. Sammohat smruti vibhramaha. Smruti bhramshat buddhi nashaha. When the smruti, when the memory is gone, you've forgotten, buddhi nashaha. The buddhi is nashofied, is destroyed. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. You are destroyed. Your buddhi is destroyed means you are destroyed. This is the ladder down. This is how we go down. How do we come up? We come up through discipline. Create that lifestyle where the intellect starts functioning, has an opportunity to function. Its natural role is to do that. It will do it. Just create an environment for it to surface at least. And then as it surfaces, you will do better and better and better. And you'll keep on doing better until the last day of your life. Otherwise, what happens in normal people's life is, it's like a story. A story starts with some normal, then there's some rising action, then there is some climax, and then there's the denouement, or the sort of the end after the climax. And most people's lives sort of go like that. But why? Why can't our life continue to rise till the very end? You don't have to come to a stage, okay, now, thak gaye, bahut kiya. Chalo yaar, we are alive, let's do something useful. Let's first figure out what is a useful thing to do. That itself takes some time. What is the most useful thing I could do with my life? That takes time. What is the best service I could do to humanity? Takes some time. And if you feel, no, I can't do such big things, then help out anyone else doing them. But make sure that your life is in some kind of order, some kind of system. And then the cycle will go up. And says you will receive prasad. Prasad, you go to a temple, you receive prasad. The word prasad means peace. So you gain that peace. And in that peace, all sorrows are destroyed. And then buddhi paryavatishta. The buddhi rises, the intellect rises. Where is Sara? Sara, are you here?
Yes, Sankhya, I'm here.
Okay. So, Sara, you're okay because I used a lot of Sanskrit. I remembered you. You're okay with what's going on?
Yes, Sankhya.
Okay. So, when we live a lifestyle that is in line with what we believe to be valuable and important, it's a very, very different life. from where we study, we know Vedanta, we carry on. Oh, Vedanta is a very good thing, and Sanskrit is a good thing, and yoga is a good thing, and our India is so great. And instead of talking all this nonsense, why don't we create a lifestyle? And then each one of us are ourselves advertisement for it. We don't need any further advertisement. Because people can see that it's a lifestyle that's worthy of being lived. You can be 94 years old and you can go undergo what is that, surgery, Mitra valve surgery, and still be doing pretty okay. And still singing and still dancing and still having a good time and still everybody wanting to be with you. Otherwise, people, as they grow older and older, nobody wants to be with them, as Bhaja Govindam says. Paschat jivati jar dehe, vartam kopi na pruchati gehe. Nobody will do varta, nobody will talk to you in your own house. Haven't you seen this? It used to hurt me when I was a child. I used to go to people's houses and there would be some older person sitting in some corner. And that person would try to participate in that conversation and people would, just throw it off as it were. And I used to feel so uncomfortable. Because somebody is saying something and nobody else is even bothering. And he would have at one time been the head of the family and all. Now I just sit in that corner with nobody paying any attention. And if anybody pays any attention, they think they are so good to him. Horrible life to be like that. Versus being at an age where everybody is seeking to be with you. Imagine, even now, when Swamiji is 94, would we not like to go and spend time with him? So, how many people would want to be with him? And we can't because too many people want to be with him. So imagine the difference in lifestyle. And since I seem to be on a roll talking about the Gita today, can you think of one verse that so symbolizes this? It's in the same chapter that I have so far spoken about. I hope you know which chapter I'm speaking about. In fact,
Second chapter.
Second chapter. So following these verses comes that verse, which tells us how different our two lives. What nobody knows is terrible, huh? This class, online classes. I'm waiting for the residential course to start. Then I can be nice and strict about things. I shouldn't frighten anyone. No? When we start a residential course, it will be really good because then I hope everybody will really know their stuff. And not only know, but live their stuff. Because the day will be planned according to what we are talking about. Every single day until it becomes them. If you go anywhere in the world, you will live that. So, which verse am I talking about? Which shows us the difference in these two lifestyles. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyami. What is night to all beings, there the wise one is awake. It's trying to show the two different lives of these people. What is night to everybody? He's awake there. What is night to him? We are awake there. So we live two different lives. It could be even two brothers sharing the same room, maybe. One gets up in the morning and studies, or maybe goes for a jog or whatever he does. The other one wakes up in the afternoon. I know this chap, poor fellow, he's no more now. But his lifestyle was this. He would get up at around, lunchtime, maybe between 1 and 2, like something, 12, 1, 2, something like that. He wakes up, has some lunch and thing, goes to the gym, comes back from the gym, has a shower, goes out drinking and partying, comes home again in the morning at around 4 o'clock or something, goes to sleep. And he had this very nice schedule going. He was also very disciplined. But his discipline didn't work for him, poor fellow, because very recently he passed away. It's not a good schedule. That's so sad. Hardly in their 40s. So sad. Now, what can you say? So, different people, different things, different lifestyles, different results. It is up to each one of us to think for ourselves. What is it we want? And design our life according to that, regardless of what other people say. What do you want? And is your life giving you that thing? Is the question that you have to answer for yourself. Other people may say you should not have that. That's their problem, not your problem. And all of this is an explanation of the intellect controls the mind and pranas, and not moved away, okay, from the main point over here. So please keep track of the main point, because only that helps us understand. All good so far? No problem? Okay. So who will read further?
I will.
Go ahead.
A powerful intellect must be distinguished from intelligence. The two are distinct and different. Intelligence is gained through knowledge drawn from external sources. You may be well informed in one or more subjects through educational institutes, textbooks, and teachers. You are then knowledgeable in that particular field. No more. That does not strengthen your intellect. Thus, you may be well versed in one or more subjects, yet fall a prey to mental and sensual attractions. You could find a brilliant scientist being infatuated to a woman or addicted to alcohol. When intellect is weak, the demand of the mind and senses usurp the personality. The mind overpowers the intellect. The person then is inflicted with stress and sorrow. Intelligence and intellect are different. Intelligence is information gained from outside sources that makes one knowledgeable in a particular field. This doesn't strengthen the intellect. A weak intellect is overpowered by the mind, and this brings stress and sorrow.
Very good. Quite simple, right? Intellect is not intelligence. You can know so much. You can know so much of Vedanta also, and still not have an intellect, which is the unfortunate reality of our life. So much information people collect in Vedanta. So much information in this book, that, and that book, that, and this, and this, and this, and that. Okay, very nice. It shows us you have good memory. It doesn't show us that you have any form of intellect. In fact, often it shows us that you do not have an intellect because you bring up all that out of context. It's a sad, sad state. So we have two kinds of people in this world. One lot of people do not believe in the intellect. They do nothing for it. Okay, they say, intellect, all you study and all nonsense. Don't talk to me of Vedanta. Don't talk to me of science. Don't talk to me of mathematics. Don't talk to me of sense. All these are nonsense. Live your life. Just enjoy. Live your life. Go with the flow. Okay, one lot. Second lot says, no. Education is important. Study is important. Science is important. Vedanta is important. Very, very important. what is our degree? Are you from an Ivy League college or are you not from an Ivy League college? Very, very great amount of importance. In my family too, being educated was a non-negotiable. I hated going to college. I hated it. I didn't want to go. But there was no question. I mean, there was just no way they'd let me not go to. So what did I do? What does a kid do? They subvert the process. So because I was forced to go to college, not just because my mom said so, but because she had put it in my head from early childhood that education is not negotiable. So everybody has to be at least post-grad. If you're not post-grad, don't talk. It was like that. And I couldn't get through graduation. Hated it. In fact, today, if you ask me what were the subjects that you studied, I cannot answer that question. I have no idea what were the subjects. I know what my degree is, but I don't know what we studied in that degree. And I swore to myself, okay, I'll get through this graduation. Never will I study again. Never. And then after that, I took lifelong study. So mad. So, how much is the emphasis on education? Especially in middle class families, even if you don't have money, they don't care. But if you're not educated, then it's very bad. It is a very, very strong middle class tendency in our country. Everybody has to be minimum graduate, preferably postgraduate, and really appreciated only when you have a PhD. So that's the standard. And so many people do go down that street. And I know one of my cousins, he's also he's a PhD, like many of them, and so much information on so many topics. Fluent in many languages, and yet incapable of, I hope nobody from my family is here, and yet incapable of controlling his temper, incapable of being disciplined, incapable of achieving anything. Achieving means doing something major. He's always thinking about doing things. So, two types of people. One who disregard any kind of intellectual application or education or any such thing. And one type who believe it's very, very important, but they can only see the information content. They value only that. They do not realize that whatever information you want, you can go to Google and get it. Whatever information you want. But nobody in the world can get your life straight, your own life straight. Nobody can do this for you. You either do it yourself or you don't. The buck stops with us. So important for us to understand that intellect is not intelligence. You may say, how many times will you tell us? I have heard this whole thing about intellect not being intelligence a million times. I get it. I'm sorry to keep repeating what you already know, but we can never overemphasize. All right. Anybody has any questions with reference to intellect and intelligence?
Yes, Jankiji. So this
Alright.
example of scientist falling for alcohol. So eventually, this habit of his will hamper this very expertise that he has, right?
Yeah, of course. How will his intellect function? His intellect will function through this physical body, right? But you have messed up its ability. It's like, what should I say? If the bulb is fused, even if electricity is there, how will it come through? So yes, he will not be able to function because he can't. The whole point of the physical body is it gives your subtle body a medium to express it. So as long as you have clouded up the medium, it cannot express.
Madam, I have one question. Same thing.
Yeah. 1 second, Amarinder. Bharat, you're okay?
Yes, just one more point. So any intelligent person who's successful, perhaps may not have any serious addiction. But would it be fair to say that he's also a ticking time bomb because he's also mind-led and eventually will explode?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't make so vast a statement as you have just made, but anybody who's a success and is not working further for his intellectual growth is a ticking time bomb. Let's say that. Instead of saying they all are, let's say those who have achieved and are not working for further intellectual growth, they are on a very dangerous wicket. In fact, very painful wicket as well. Because I don't know, I mean, whether you all have all seen this. Deepraj looks quite young, so I don't know whether he has seen these people very, very successful, and then what happens to them. Instead of, they are like, they're the glamour. You know, in every family, in every society, there's somebody glamorous, very successful. Oh, that person did so much, so much. And then what happens to those people? I look back on my childhood, as I invite you all to do, and think of the people who at that time were pitched up for you as very successful, very glamorous, very like everybody looked up to them. What happened to them later on? Very, I don't know, you all are, you know that, right? I mean, those who've at least been around on this planet for some time, have you seen that? Have you seen these people at the height of their glory and then in their old age, what it is? One event that happened in my life, I mean, you know, it's silly to tell you my life stories because how does it matter to you? But it's made an impression on me, is that when I was young, my father drove into the petrol pump to fill petrol. And there was a man in front of us who was filling his petrol. Some nice fatty was there with a white beard and all. And he was filling his petrol. Suddenly my mother perked up and said, "That's Shammi Kapoor, no?" So I looked to see him. I saw an elderly white person, plump person with a white beard. I didn't see Shammi Kapoor because Shammi Kapoor for me was, what is that? Divani or Javani or something, you know, he's shouting at the top of the mountain. I'm looking at this man and I'm remembering that and I'm thinking, no way, this is not Shammi Kapoor. And then between the two of them, they agreed that it was Shammi Kapoor. And then my father asked the attendant, Shammi Kapoor tha na? हाँ साहब वो हमेशा आते हैं यहाँ पेट्रोल भरने के लिए. Okay, well established it was him. And to my young mind that time, really? You mean Shammi Kapoor was standing in front of us alone by himself? No fans rushing to him, nobody's asking for autograph, nothing. He's just standing there like we are standing there, getting his petrol filled. The fact that I'm talking to you of this incident 40 years later means that it left some kind of mark, no? Like that, I'm sure in your life, you remember things. These things are important for us because they give us the facts of life. So you go up to a certain level and then nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sad. Are you... So basically during your success, did you remember or not? Or you forgot that you still have to still be in development. Develop yourself further and further. There's no end to this thing. If you don't do it, then as Bharat says very sadly, and that's that, then you didn't do it. Okay, you're okay, Bharat.
जी, जी.
Amarinder?
Ma'am, in related to the studies also, even the people who study Vedanta, they may have well versed with all the subject, everything verse and all, but still they cannot practice intellect. It also happens, right?
Yeah.
We know everything, but we quote all the verses, but still we don't practice. Even the intelligence, intellect also is even the studies of Vedanta. Yeah, that's I want to get it.
Yeah, in every single thing. Yeah, Tinky?
Hari Om Janki ji. So in this example you had given of this man who lived a very, pleasure-driven lifestyle, waking up late, etc., whatever, and he died very young. So can we say that his mind was very powerful and intellect was weak? And then all his activities, we are all driven, action is driven by our vasanas, right? So he was driven by the vasanas and he could not exercise the free will. That is the only thing that controls the vasanas, the free will. Na? So he died young because his prarabdha was over. He wanted to enjoy, he finished. And can we say that? I mean,
Yes. Yes, of course you can say that.
Interconnected.
Yeah, of course you can say that. Then you reduce him to the level of an animal. So you're saying slightly worse things about him.
No, I'm just asking in the technical terms that we keep using, like to understand a person's life trajectory is that
Yes.
he was driven by his vasanas, by his mind. Intellect was never, maybe the environment was such, or that was his prarabdha that he had to go through. He wanted to enjoy and go away, finish. That's it. No effort, no striving, no benefit to anybody, nothing. We can just say that. So what would one say? Would one say what a useless life he lived because it was all a result of past actions? And maybe he didn't study or hear the scriptures or had no guidance. So he did what at that point he thought was best. And that was his way of do we say exhausting or experiencing prarabdha? What does one say? Experience.
Same thing. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that was his way. When why should we be in judgment?
Yeah.
The only question in front of us is that what we want for our lives?
Correct. We can only learn from that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to judge him because we see so little of a person's life. So little. Now, the reason I can tell you this story is obviously because I know this person, right? So you can't say he had no exposure because he had a lot of exposure.
Okay.
But in fact, his parents were into the study of Vedanta. So he had a lot of exposure, he had a lot of environment to, but he didn't want it.
He was not ready for it, you would say, or
he
whatever.
Didn't want it. It's that simple. Which is fine. And for him, maybe this life, luckily he had enough funds to support this lovely lifestyle which he had. But the thing is, it's not for us to determine whether what he did was right or wrong. We only use these to tell ourselves what do we want. Is this what I want? In which case, this is what I should do. But if this is not what I want, then I should get what I want. Why should I not get what I want? That's the point of the story, not to say whether he was right. Everybody lives his life his way and is right for himself.
Right.
Momita. Beauty is only skin deep, intelligence is only mind deep. Nice but not sufficient for happiness. Yes, Momita, you're right. Except that we don't call intelligence mind as far as Vedanta is concerned. But in English, what you're saying is right. We try to keep the language, the words same so that there's no confusion in anybody's mind. So intelligence is an acquisition of the intellect. It's an acquisition. It's not a digestion. To have a knowledge that is useful, you don't need the acquisition of knowledge, you need the digestion of knowledge. And your lifestyle has to support that. Okay, Mamita? And you can't say nice but not sufficient for happiness. You can say it's nice to have intelligence, because if you don't have intelligence in the sense of basic information, how will your intellect function? Doesn't have the information. So you need the intelligence, you need that information, but then you need the ability to deal with that information. How do you what should I say? How do you use that information is the more important thing. Otherwise, you're a what? I heard somebody called data idiot. You have all the data in the world and you have no idea what to do with the data. So not sufficient for happiness, yes. More specifically, not sufficient for action. You can't do anything. You know so much, but you don't know what to do. So what's the point of all that you know? What's the point of knowing? To do a better action. Now you know so much, but you can't do a better action. So it's a bit pointless. Okay. You're okay, Mamita? Deep Raj. So intelligence is being compared to the physiological function. Udana. No. Physiological function, Udana Deep Raj, is only the speed at which you take in fresh information. How good you are at taking in that information. It refers to that. It doesn't refer to the quantum of knowledge you possess. Okay, Bhavita. One second. Is it about this point?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It is comprehensive power, no?
What?
Comprehensive power.
Of?
This whatever we are taking, it depends upon our comprehensive power.
Comprehension, I think you mean. Comprehension, our power of comprehension. Yes. Our power of comprehension or understanding something is the strength of the intellect. How much can you understand? I mean, everybody will read the same Vedanta treatise, right? But how much do you understand from it? By understand, I mean you're able to understand what it is saying, and that helps you live your life better.
Okay.
Meera, could we call him a bhogi? Yes, we could, except that it's better not to call other people anything. We should only see when we are doing something. Yeah, we don't know what goes on in somebody's mind. Because we see so much, like Matthew Arnold says, no, our life is like an arrow shot from darkness into darkness. What do we even see of our own lives? So, what do we see of somebody else's life? It's it flashes in the light for a bit, and then it goes into darkness again. So little we know, so little, and we only see action. We don't know what went on in that person's head or anything. So we could call him a bhogi in terms of our comprehension of what a bhogi does, but better not to label anybody anything in life. Never know what really was happening there. Okay, so we are okay? Everyone's okay so far? Who's reading the next para?
I will read Janki.
Please.
The mind's nature is also to slip into the past and future. That ruins one concentration. For concentration, your mind must back your action. When your action keeps the mind focused on present action without allowing it to slip into past and future, then you are concentrating. You need a strong intellect to do that. Hence, people with mere intelligence and no intellectual strength find it difficult to concentrate and become less productive in their field of activity. So here he is saying, mind natural tendency is to slip into past and future. That ruins one concentration. For concentration, your mind must back your action.
Mind must back?
Your action.
Mind?
Yeah, for concentration, your mind must back your action, no?
Read further. That's why when you see a full stop, don't think that's it.
Okay.
If you stop the sentence midway, you'll change the whole point.
Our intellect must keep mind focus on present action without allowing it to slip into past and future. And we can say it is then we can say we are concentrating. We have intellect to do that. But people with less mere intelligence and not intellectual strength find it difficult to concentrate. And they are not.
You read the whole thing again. You have to just say the main point. What is the main point? When your intellect is weak, you cannot
Concentrate, you cannot productive.
Very good. That's all.
Okay.
Because intelligence doesn't strengthen your intellect. And then if your intellect is weak, you cannot concentrate. And if you cannot concentrate, how are you going to be productive?
True.
Okay, so Bharat has an announcement for us.
Yes, sorry, Om, just checking everyone's availability for next Saturday class. It will be the 1st of Jan. So if we are all coming and hopefully not drinking too much, then we'll have the class.
Bharat, don't give everybody's secret away like that. So yes, available. Everybody's available. Nobody is going to be sleeping so late at night that y'all cannot come to class.
11.
Everyone is saying yes. So I suppose now only people with no say no so that we can come.